Conversations about mining. Welcome to Australian Mining for New Starters, and today we're launching our new series, Conversations About Mining. And to do that, we've got Jess here from Beyond WA. These guys, they do resume writing, career consulting. They pretty much have got a foot in every camp, which is really good, which is what we at Underground Training have wanted to team up with, because we see a lot of people out there that they don't go for the brass ring to start with. They sort of ease their way in. We want people to go for the brass ring and be able to fall back on something else if they don't get their brass ring job. And by brass ring job, I'm talking about a production mining job. So welcome, Jess.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for having me. We're excited to be here and have a chat about all things mining and how you can get a foot in the door. That's usually, I know for us, the most common question. We get about 100 messages and emails a day. How can I get in the door? So it'll be awesome to be able to tackle some of those topics and have a chat about what is the best way in for you, and what you do need to spend money on and what you don't. So thanks for having me.
No worries. Great for you to be here. And we're going to do this regularly for everybody. So if you've got any questions about mining you want us to talk about, send them through and we will have a conversation about them. But the big thing is, for me, is getting your foot in the door, because unfortunately, a lot of people end up with the idea that they can get a utility job and then that'll lead to a production mining job and then they'll go in from there. And the unfortunate thing is that the utility jobs, they just lead to more utility jobs. It's very rarely that somebody makes a jump from a from a utility job into a production mining job. And that's one of the big things that I want to communicate to people. Education's the key. If you know how the owner's mine works, then you've actually got something to offer them. I know you guys have a fair bit to do in the civil space, as well as some utility work and all that sort of stuff.
And that can be a really good pathway in. And like Andrew said, being a utility is a great first step, especially if you have no FIFO experience, no experience on site. It can be a really good starting point, but you're 99% of the time never going to jump into a utility role and go straight into a production role. It's unless you know someone, or luck happens to fall that you're in one of the diverse groups that they're looking for, and your application's amazing and your resume spot on. So there's definitely a process that you have to follow, especially if you have no experience and you're jumping in completely green and have no idea where to start.
Yep. And I tell people that because I've been involved, I started as a nipper at the end of 94. So I've seen a lot of people come through over the years, and everybody that I've seen make the jump from a utility job into a production mining job have been incredibly charismatic, I suppose could be the way to put it. And what I often find, and I shake my head all the time, is that basically all those people spend 1 year to 2 years doing a utility job, where if they'd done a little bit more research and got their ducks in a row a little bit more, they probably would have walked straight into a production mining job, because there's lots of them out there at the moment, especially if you're looking in the right spot. I find that a lot of people aren't looking in the right spot. They're concentrating on driving big trucks on the surface. And unfortunately, big trucks on the surface are like the dinosaurs. They're going extinct. They're still using them, but they're just using them with driverless. So they're not having people in them. And so at the moment, from my perspective, where the employers need bums in seats and they have to hire new starters is in hard rock underground and surface exploration. There's lots of utility work going as well, and there's lots of mill work going as well. But the actual production mining jobs that you're on site and you're blowing stuff up, or you're drilling stuff, or you're doing stuff that people would associate with mining, that's in the underground space, the hard rock underground space, and the surface exploration.
Yeah, definitely. I know I made the jump. I'm a chef by trade. I made the jump in 2009, and I did that because my husband was a boilermaker. So I talked to my and got a job as a TA. Like, that's otherwise I wouldn't have had any chance. I had no experience at all. I got my HR and I did a few bits and pieces, but that was only because I knew that I had a job to go to, and that doesn't much as it used to.
No. And the thing with family and friends, I actually just wrote a blog for the Underground Training website on it about having to know somebody to get into the industry. And like in coal and iron ore at the moment, you really do need to know somebody to get in. Same still rules apply to the underground and the exploration space, but they just need so many people that friends and family aren't even touching the sites.
Right.
And whereas with coal and iron ore, there's more than enough friends and family around for the jobs, unfortunately. And you can see just over the last 18 months how many jobs have, sort of all pared back.
Definitely.
Yeah.
With the roles, with the coal being like resi jobs, being residential, it's who you know, it's in a small community. They're obviously going to hire local people first to support that community for starters, but also for ease of them. They're not worrying about people not being able to get there, or flights being cancelled, or cars breaking down, and all of those other things that can happen logistically when someone's far away. So yeah, it's definitely a strategy. You need to have a good strategy, and you need to be getting advice from someone that has your best interest at heart and that wants to help you find a role and is not just trying to sell you something.
Yeah, exactly. And you need a good resume, but you need to know how the mind works as well. If you can hold that conversation with the employer in the interview about how it all works, then you're in the driver's seat there, because everybody else is just looking at them going, I'm going to make a really good employee, boss. And that gets old really quickly.
Does. And you can, you do need a good resume, and you do need to have a handle on what you're going to do, because if you roll in there green as anything, working at Macca's, and you've got through the interview stage because you've got an amazing resume and you've done a great course and you've educated yourself, and you get into that interview and that shift boss is asking you questions and you have no idea what he's saying, being pretty or being smart or being charming is not going to help you one bit. So you need to have that education behind you so that you can answer those questions and fall back. I know Andrew's told me some awesome stories about him doing research before interviews.
Yeah. It's oh, I can't tell some of those stories because you're going to get me into trouble. It's pre 2000 the way I got my job, but the thing that's really consistent about the industry is that it's not but changed since I first started. When I first started at the end of 94, they were running through people, and they've got the same problem. It's really easy to teach you the practical side of the jobs, easy to teach you how to drive the underground truck. It's the most expensive truck you'll ever drive in your life. They cost between $3 and $4.5 million each, but they're all point and shoot automatics. Nobody, like, over my career, I think 3 people I've come across that we couldn't teach how to drive a truck, out of the thousands that I've seen come through. It's not that's the issue. The issue is teaching people enough about how the mind works so they can leave you alone to get on with the job by yourself. That's the sticking point. And if you don't know how the mind works and you go in green on the employer's timeline, then it instantly becomes sink or swim training. And that's why there's so many job ads out there, unfortunately. It's not anybody's fault. It's just the way it is. And if you don't know how it all works before you go in, then your chances of succeeding aren't very high, unfortunately. Whereas if you know how it all works, you get yourself a kick-ass resume and a bit of advice about where to go and what to do, it changes the dynamic completely. Like people that do our training, the underground training, the DIY or the work ready, the people that get jobs, it goes down to less than 10% failure rate from over 50% failure rate. We still get people fail, but that's got more to do with blowing up breathalyzers than anything else, unfortunately. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Every time it happens, another line goes in there. So, you'll be told 4 times when I do the review at the end of the year not to blow up a breathalyzer. So, yeah.
And I think I know I get it at least probably once or twice a month. I get people that have gone in like trade assistants or labourers or people with some physical experience in a physical job have gone in as drillers offsiders. They've breezed through the application and the interview stage. They've got in there and they've immediately quit on the first swing because they hated it and they had no idea at all about what they were going to be facing, how it all worked, and actually how hard it is. Being underground is not for everybody. And yeah, to really have that knowledge and to wrap your head around what you're coming up against and what you're in for, I think makes all the difference as well.
Yeah, and when we wrote the course, because there was a group of us shift bosses that got together that wrote the course back in the day, we didn't set out to write something that was going to turn people off. We just wanted to give you an accurate representation of what you're about to get yourself into, so there were no surprises, good or bad. The only criticism that you've got with the companies, and this is for any company really, is that their training tends to be very positive at the start, like any company is. And, it's not a positive situation all the time that you're walking into. It's a very high pressure situation. They need results. They need it done safely. But, they need results at the end of the day. So if you don't know what's going on and you need someone sitting behind you telling you what to do, that person that's sitting behind you telling you what to do has normally got a truck themselves that they should be driving. Because when we're in the middle of a boom like we're in at the moment, safety and training don't end up doing a lot of training. They end up doing a lot of paperwork. So you end up with a buddy showing you how to do the job. So that buddy's normally got something else that they should be doing. So the longer that they're spending with you, the less time that everybody's doing the stuff that they're supposed to be doing, and the company's making less money. And that's why the pressure is ramped up constantly.
I know a few companies, I know Goldfields in particular, have started doing a site visit. So when you're going through the interview process now with them, before they actually offer you a position, you have to go up for a day to site and do a site visit and actually go underground and meet the shift bosses and see what it's like. And you'd be surprised the amount of people I know. There was a visit a few weeks ago that we had 3 candidates on, and there was 12 people went to site, and all of them were buzzing. You can imagine the flight up there in their high vis. They were so excited, and only 4 of them continued on with their application once they'd been up and actually been underground.
Yeah, I know. Because where that comes from is that when I first started, they used to do the inductions first, and then they'd take them underground, sort of like on day 8 or day 9, and they'd have people freak out. So in about 2002, 2003, they decided, we'll get them to run them underground on the first day. So I can remember in about 2009, I was running this guy underground, and we didn't even make it into the pit. Like, we literally pulled into the pit to go down there, and he just started saying no. No. And he was freaked. And it was lucky that it was the new shift boss's ute. So I had power, everything on my side. So I could lock his doors and I could lock his windows, because he tried to climb out. He tried to open the door to start with. And when he couldn't get the door open, he tried to wind his window down and climb out the window. And so I ended up having to do an emergency turn on the pit, announce it on the radio. And I drove straight past the shift boss's office, straight to the medical center, met the nurse there, and they ended up juicing him up and flying him out on Royal RFDS that afternoon.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the most extreme one that I've had, but there's other levels along the way, but it's not for everybody. And, we try to put into the training what the conditions are going to be like so you can make an informed decision. We have a lot of people come back to us, and it's not, it's probably about 30%, and they turn around and they say, look, thanks for the course. It was really good. I learned so much about mining. I don't want to do it anymore. And, to that, for a lot of people, that's like, oh, what a waste. For me, that's a win, because it allows you to move on. It allows you to draw a line underneath what's going on in your life and say, all right, I've looked into mining. That was an option. Now I know what it is. It's not an option, and I can get on with what else I've got to get on with. When you just spend 12 months or 18 months of your life just churning away, trying to get this thing that you're chasing, and then all of a sudden you get it and it turns out to be not what you want. It sucks big time.
Yeah, it would too. And I've got a little resume question for you.
Yep.
So you as a shift boss, so you've got a kick-ass resume from one of our candidates, say 2 of our candidates, and one of them's done your course and one of them hasn't. So obviously their resume is perfect. It's come through the ATS systems. It's got all the way to your desk.
Yep.
And you've got one that doesn't have your training, but they've still got all the relevant tickets and minimum criteria. And then you've got the other one that's got all your training on it. What, in your opinion, as a shift boss, you're hiring someone, what would be the advantages of that? Like, why would you pick that candidate over the other one?
Well, the first thing I'd ask the candidate to do the training is, what are you going to do if you smell stench gas? And if they tell me I'm going to go to a refuge chamber and call in, then I'm going to go, yep, that's a big tick. And then the next thing I'd probably ask them is, what are you going to do if a rock slides down your scaling bar? And if they tell me that they're going to drop the bar and retreat out of the area, I'm going to give them another big tick. Because this is all the information that I, as a shift boss, want my new starter to know, that I need them to know so I can leave them alone. And then I'd probably ask them 3 or 4 more questions that would be really quick like that. Like, if I did a great big circle with my cap lamp, what am I asking you to do? I'm asking you to come over to talk to me. I want to talk to you. And so if you know all those things and you can talk to me about all those things, then, I can throw you in the deep end, and my expectation of what's going to happen to you changes completely. So with the other candidate, that's probably still going to interview well, my expectation of them would be that I might get them up to speed in 2 or 3 months, and there probably is a more than 50% chance that they're going to fail. with the candidates that's done the training that can answer the mining questions, my expectation of them would be that I'll get them up to speed in 3 or 4 weeks. And as long as they don't blow up a breathalyzer, I'm going to be pretty much right. Yeah, and that's where we're at with it. And you can go through and have a look at the Wall of Fame page that we've got on the website and all that sort of stuff. You can look at the people that have gotten jobs. They all say the same thing. The reason I got the job was because I was able to talk to the foreman in the interview about how it all worked. And when you can talk to them about how it all worked, it means you can be thrown in the deep end. And yeah, I think people put the cart in front of the horse. I think trying to get the utility job and then trying to upgrade to the mining job is a backwards way of doing it. I think you should go for the mining job to start with and then work your way back if you don't achieve that, and then see where you land from there, because there's just so much work around the country. It's all over the place.
There is a lot of work, and that's it. And that's where it comes down to actually having a chat to someone, whether you want to give me a call, give Andrew a call, and go through a plan that you think might be appropriate. If you are thinking about jumping in and getting an entry-level role, if you've got no experience, maybe you've moved from overseas and you're not sure how to actually enter the market because you do have some experience, but maybe not in mining, maybe it's in civil or farming or something else, but you've got that operating experience and you've got those tickets. Definitely like hit either of us up for a chat, because you really do need to come up with a plan and you need to come up with a strategy. There's a real strategy to get in, and you need to also figure out what courses you need to do. Andrew's course is amazing, especially for underground, but also just in general, just for general mining, to get in there and just get your handle around some of the terminology and how it works, and actually have him on hand to answer those questions about what happens on site and just different things about being in mining that you won't get from anyone else. Everyone loves to tell you, get into FIFO, it's so much money, you're going to love it, the lifestyle. It's not for everyone. And I think that you really need to strategize and have a chat about what your experience is, if you have transferable skills, and what your best pathway is in, so that, yeah, like I said, you're not spending thousands of dollars on all these irrelevant tickets and,
stuff that you don't need.
Yeah, that you don't need, that you really don't need. So, and whether it's even for you, maybe once you have a chat about how it works and what's involved, and, you can't always get on the same roster as your friends, and you can't always, everything doesn't always line up how you think it's going to line up. It's not as easy as people make it seem.
And they want you to work Christmas.
They do. They want you to.
We're going to do a video on this shortly, but I'm going to tease everybody with snatch-it season, because we're coming up onto snatch-it season. And if you don't know what snatch-it season is, you don't know a lot about mining. So FYI, snatch-it season's Christmas. People get pissed off and they quit. So it's a great time of the year to have a look.
Really awesome time of the year to get in. Like, honestly, if you are gearing up to make a change into industries and you're not fussed whether you're going to be home over Christmas and New Year's, now is 100% the time to get in, because there are going to be job vacancies coming at you. Like December and January is crazy for it, because, and also into summer, like into January, February, March, because I always say young kids, like I'm 70 years old, but they want to go to festivals, they want to go to parties, they want to be out on the boats with their friends. They don't care. They can get another job. They're not, they're not paying houses and mortgages and supporting kids. So if you want to get in over the next few months, is a perfect time to get in.
Yeah, I always got taught right at the start from the old miners to have 6 months pay in the bank. And then that way, if snatch-it season comes around, you quit second week of December and you start looking for a job second week of January. And it just depends on how much work's around. The more work that's around, the more people that do it, because it gets close to Christmas. Everybody wants to have Christmas at home with the family. If you've been on site for a couple of years and, you're feeling a bit toey and want to move somewhere else and there's lots of jobs around and the boss doesn't want to give you Christmas off, then, yeah, there's lots of people that love going in there and saying, see ya. And,
it's crazy. It happens every year around this time, always. Well, and I know hard for people to be away, especially if you have done it for a long time and you're doing longer swings, like you're on a construction swing or exploration, and you're away, and then Christmas comes, maybe you've got young kids now, or maybe you've got family here from overseas and you're going to miss everything. It can be really hard. It can be really, really hard depending what you've got going on at home. So I understand why people do it as well. But yeah, definitely a good opportunity to get in there.
The thing that we get a lot with snatch-it season, and it happens to us all the time, is that the employers use it as a test. If you're before December, it's like the number of people that we get that get jobs a couple of weeks before Christmas, and it's like, the job's here, but are you jumping on the plane? Are you going to be here for Christmas?
Yeah.
And they use it as a test to see whether and if people go, yeah, let me at it, it's like,
Yeah.
you're in, that's it. And it's like, oh, can I start at the second week of January? And they'll like be, okay, no worries, we'll give you a call when we're ready for you. And they never call back. So everything in mining's a test.
It is. It is. And you know what? If you really want that job, especially if it is, if you are gaining a FIFO job, it's not the end of the world. You're like, I always used to think, when your kids are little, they don't know what date Christmas is. It's hard for you on the day, but, life on, it's one Christmas. If that gets you that role that you've been trying to get for months or years and that you're so keen on, jump in and do it. You can probably, you'll get, generally you do one and you don't work the next. They're usually pretty fair most of the time, depending on what your role is.
Yep. Yeah. It's like anything else. I had one situation years ago where I was supposed to have Christmas off, but a whole heap of people snatched it. And they pulled my Christmas holidays on me. And I was like to the foreman, well, I'm going to quit then. He goes, well, I respect you for quitting. He said, but the problem that you've got is that the next plane doesn't come in until the 28th. So if you don't want to quit, that's fine. I'll say, well, I've reevaluated my resignation. I'll stay, sort of thing. He goes, that's fine.
Especially when you've done the right thing and actually applied for leave. That's when I do feel sorry for people. I see it all the time, especially on the FIFO pages and all the wives and partners pages that, my husband or my partner was supposed to have Christmas off and now, people have left and they've got to change their swings. And it's just, honestly, you work in FIFO and you have a great lifestyle and you get paid really good money to have a lot of time off. And that's just part and parcel of the job. Like,
they need bums in seats.
They do. Yep. And you have to run it. You can't run it on no people. They wish that you could, but you can't.
That's it. And that's the problem that the Hard Rock Underground employers have got at the moment. Everybody wants experienced truck drivers, but anybody with 12 months truck driving experience doesn't want to be a truck driver anymore. They want to be service crew. And there's enough service crew jobs around to manage that. And so all the employers are having to hire entry-level truck drivers. Nobody wants to do it because it's such a turnover, but, they're stuck.
And that's the thing. I feel like kind of 2-3 years ago, all anyone wanted to do was be a truck driver. Like that was like the be all and end all. But now that's the entry level. Now that's like, now that's the utility role production side.
Everybody wants to be the jumbo operator. And if you don't know what the jumbo operator is, they're the guys that drill the production holes and install the ground support, the development holes underground and install the ground support. But yeah, those guys, they make between $1,500 and $2,500 a day. And I just recently got a text message from somebody on our YouTube channel that intimated that they were making about $3,000 a day as a jumbo operator now. So not bad work if you can get it.
I've got a mate that's making about $2,700, I think, a day.
Yeah. It's not out of the ordinary. And, here's the thing that'll blow people's socks off. The first time that I worked with somebody that made over $2,000 a day was in 1996.
Wow, that long ago.
Yep.
And what did they do?
They were a jumbo operator. I was bogging for them. They made $2,200 a shift, and I made $1,400 a shift on the bogger behind them. And I paid. That was back in the days where it was $60,000 tax, top tax bracket, and I think I paid about $8,000 tax out of it was like $16,100 and something dollars for the pay, and I paid $8,000 in tax, so it was just under half. So insane amount of tax.
That's the reality of the type of roles that you can get into within a couple of years. If you do this course and you get yourself in there and you do want to work underground, that is the type of money that you can be making. And, it's not a forever job. You want to have a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan if you, really want to set yourself up. But that is the reality that you can make money like that. You really can.
Definitely. And, there's the overseas work as well. I've got mates that are overseas that make 30 to 40 grand a month. And like a lot of the people that I know that are in it, that are jumbo operators and shift bosses and foremans, they're all making between, 250 and 400,000 a year. And they're all on 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. So they work 23 weeks of the year. One of my really good mates, he's a fitter. He runs one of the sites for one of the big companies, and he's got the perfect bloody roster. He's in on Tuesday morning and out on Friday afternoon. He has a perpetual 3-day weekend. So, yep.
Yeah, I've got a few friends, drillers and jumbo operators that are overseas, and they're on longest rosters, like kind of 3-3s or 4-4s, but they're killing it. They're making loads of cash, and they have half their time off. So,
Yeah.
and they're traveling. You know?
Yeah, that's the other thing too, that like one of my older mates did it for a little while, and instead of coming back to Australia, the company would fly him to anywhere in the world, and they'd fly his wife from Perth to anywhere in the world that they were vacationing for the 6 weeks that he had off at the time. So they did Europe and South America and England and, you know, all over the place.
Yeah, it's amazing. It can be a really good lifestyle. Whatever you get into FIFO was, it can be. If you set yourself up properly and you manage your money correctly and kind of do it smart, it can be a really awesome lifestyle. And you can, you know, you take 2 weeks leave and you get 4 weeks. So it can be great. You can do a lot of traveling. You can have a lot more time off.
Yep. Yeah, no, it's a good thing to get into, as long as you know what you're getting yourself into and not getting into it with rose-colored glasses.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, excellent. So I think that's a really good place to leave it today, Jess. Thank you for that. And if you've got any questions about the mining industry, please send them through. If you want your resume done, head over to Beyond. I will put the links in the description below to everybody, so you can hit Jess up for your resume and you can have a look at the training. I'm going to do a little bit more research into how to use Zoom, so I can share some stuff on maps and all that sort of stuff, so we can have a look at that next time. But yeah, no, thanks for today in the conversation, Jess, and we'll talk next week.
Thanks so much for having me, Andrew. It's been awesome. And like Andrew said, if you have any more questions, or you have any questions for us that you want us to answer on here, hit us up below. Andrew will chuck the links down the bottom. Get in touch. And yeah, if you have any questions just about how to get in, you want a free career consultation, I can always go through your resume, and then you can have a chat to Andrew about the training side of things as well. So we've got some awesome packages between us that we can help get you out there. So definitely get in touch. Let us know if you need anything, or if you have any burning questions that you want answered about FIFO. That would be awesome.
No worries. Excellent. Thanks,
Thanks,
Jess.
Bye. See ya.